You think she stopped caring the moment you walked away, but the truth is your silence echoes louder in her mind than your presence ever did. And the night you finally choose yourself, something unsettles her more than any argument ever could, because distance exposes emotions she thought she controlled. I want you to understand something most men never hear clearly, because society trains you to chase approval, while women are taught to expect pursuit without questioning its cost. When you stop chasing, her emotional compass suddenly loses direction, and confusion quietly replaces certainty she once felt about your attention. As a psychologist, I have watched countless couples repeat this silent dance where the man keeps proving devotion and the woman slowly relaxes into emotional comfort without realizing how fragile attraction becomes when challenge disappears from the connection. Attraction thrives on curiosity, uncertainty, and emotional tension, not constant reassurance that you will always stay regardless of neglect, mixed signals, or emotional distance she sometimes shows during moments of comfort or distraction from her own internal struggles. The moment you genuinely begin moving forward, focusing on your goals, health, and self-respect, her subconscious notices the emotional door quietly closing, and scarcity awakens feelings she never bothered to examine, while your loyalty felt guaranteed and permanently available whenever she desired reassurance or emotional validation after difficult days in her personal life outside your relationship. Understand, this reaction is rarely manipulation, but rather human psychology responding to potential loss. Because people value what feels like it might disappear, especially when familiarity suddenly transforms into emotional uncertainty that challenges previous assumptions about romantic security and predictable affection they relied upon for comfort during vulnerable periods of their emotional journey with you beside them. When you move on, you unknowingly force her to confront questions about your worth that routine once allowed her to ignore, and that realization often sparks sudden interest or renewed attraction she cannot easily explain, even to herself, because emotions rarely follow logical timelines or convenient expectations created by modern dating culture and social media illusions shaping romantic behavior today. So listen carefully, because your power never came from chasing, pleading, or proving worth, but from recognizing when love stops growing and courageously choosing personal evolution over emotional dependency, creating the very shift that unexpectedly makes her wonder what life looks like without the man who once placed her comfort above his own dreams, ambitions, and emotional well-being, until clarity finally pushes him toward freedom. She never believed he would actually claim, reshaping both hearts in ways neither expected when the relationship first began, revealing truths about desire that only distance and self-respect can fully uncover for two imperfect people, learning how love changes once attachment meets growth, leaving space for new respect to quietly emerge where desperation once lived, opening possibilities neither partner saw coming before separation rewrote their emotional priorities and challenged every assumption they carried about commitment and personal value within modern relationships across changing generations, seeking deeper connection beyond temporary validation and fleeting romantic excitement. Many mistake for lasting emotional fulfillment in complex adult partnerships forming throughout unpredictable chapters of real human intimacy across evolving cultural expectations, shaping how men and women rediscover attraction after brave personal departures, redefine emotional boundaries, and inspire healthier romantic returns later. What unsettles her is not that you left, but that you finally discovered life continues without her approval. And suddenly the emotional control she never realized she held begins slipping quietly through her fingers. When a man truly moves on, his energy changes in ways words cannot fake, because he no longer negotiates his self-worth for temporary affection, and women instinctively sense that emotional shift long before it is spoken aloud. You start responding slower, not out of strategy, but because your attention now belongs to your purpose, your work, your health, your future, and that independence challenges the emotional dynamic she unconsciously relied upon when your world revolved around her moods and availability. Many women are not prepared for the moment a man stops orbiting them because constant attention becomes a form of emotional security, and when it disappears, curiosity and anxiety quietly replace comfort that once felt permanent. Suddenly she wonders who you are becoming without her influence, who you might meet, and whether another woman will experience the version of you she never fully appreciated while you were trying so hard to keep the connection alive. Human psychology values what feels rare, and when your time and emotional availability become limited, attraction can resurface because mystery returns where predictability once lived, creating emotional tension that reminds her why she felt drawn to you in the first place. But here is the truth many men misunderstand. Her renewed interest does not always mean she wants reconciliation. Sometimes it simply means she is processing the loss of attention, familiarity, and emotional validation you consistently provided during vulnerable moments in her own life journey. This is why moving on must never be a performance designed to pull her back, because women sense emotional manipulation quickly, and desperation disguised as confidence always reveals itself through subtle behaviors and anxious communication patterns. Real change happens when you no longer need her reaction to feel secure, when your happiness stops depending on whether she texts, calls, or wonders what you are doing without her presence guiding your emotional stability. Ironically, the moment you become emotionally grounded within yourself, you appear more attractive not only to her, but to others as well. Because confidence rooted in self-respect creates an aura that cannot be imitated through surface-level dating advice or temporary motivational bursts. And this is where many women experience internal conflict, because they begin questioning whether letting you go was truly the right choice, or if comfort and familiarity blinded them to qualities they now see more clearly from a distance. Attraction often awakens when absence creates reflection, and reflection exposes feelings hidden beneath routine interactions taken for granted during the relationship's comfortable phases. So understand, when you move forward with genuine self-improvement rather than bitterness, you are not trying to make her miss you. You are simply becoming the man who no longer loses himself trying to keep someone who was uncertain about staying, and that transformation changes how everyone, including her, perceives your value in ways emotional pursuit never could, ultimately rewriting the story both of you once believed was already decided. Here's the part most men never hear because it is uncomfortable, and uncomfortable truths rarely become popular advice. Sometimes when a woman reacts strongly after you move on, she is not missing the relationship, she is missing the version of herself that felt desired, admired, and emotionally chosen when you were still there. Your attention once reassured her, even on days she questioned her own worth, and when that reassurance disappears, she must now find confidence within herself instead of receiving it from you. When you step away and genuinely start rebuilding your life, she begins noticing the silence where validation used to exist. She scrolls through memories, conversations, photos, inside jokes, and wonders how something so familiar suddenly became distant. And in that reflection, emotions get complicated. Nostalgia mixes with curiosity, ego mixes with affection. And suddenly she feels an urge to reconnect, not always because she wants commitment again, but because she wants to know if she still matters in your life story. Men often mistake this reaction as proof they should return immediately, believing her renewed attention means everything can go back to how it was. But emotional dynamics don't rewind, they evolve. And if nothing truly changes, both people simply repeat the same cycle until exhaustion replaces attraction. When you move on correctly, without resentment, something powerful happens. You become emotionally less predictable. You are no longer reacting to every message or mood shift. You're not waiting for permission to live your life. And unpredictability, when grounded in self-respect rather than games, naturally increases attraction because humans are drawn to emotional independence. Women often don't realize they were slowly pulling away until they see you doing the same. And that realization can spark sudden urgency. Questions begin forming in her mind. Who is he talking to now? Is he happier without me? Did I underestimate what he brought into my life? Loss creates clarity that comfort often hides. But listen carefully here, because this is where real maturity shows. Your goal is not to make someone regret losing you. Your goal is to become someone who never abandons himself again just to keep someone else comfortable. When you start choosing growth, fitness, purpose, discipline, and emotional boundaries, you naturally become more attractive not just to past partners, but to new opportunities and healthier relationships. And sometimes when she sees that transformation, she feels drawn back, not because she wants to control you, but because she now sees the strength she overlooked. The difference is, this time, the choice is yours. You no longer chase reassurance. You evaluate whether the connection actually supports the life you are building, and that shift is what truly changes the emotional power dynamic between you. Because the man who moves on with dignity doesn't need revenge, validation, or dramatic closure. His peace becomes his message, his progress becomes his response, and his silence speaks louder than arguments ever did, reminding everyone, including her, that the strongest move a man can make is choosing self-respect over emotional survival. And once you understand this, you stop trying to make someone miss you and start building a life where being missed is simply a natural consequence of becoming someone unforgettable. Now here's the truth that finally sets you free, the part no one tells you, because it removes the illusion that winning someone back should ever be the goal. When you truly move on, the real victory is not her reaction, her curiosity, or even the possibility of reconciliation. The real victory is that you no longer need her confusion or attention to validate your direction in life. Many men spend months hoping their absence will make a woman realize their value, but growth is not meant to be a strategy. Growth is meant to be permanent. And the moment your improvement becomes real, something unexpected happens. You stop measuring your worth through someone else's interest. You wake up focused on your future instead of checking your phone for emotional reassurance. Your confidence stops depending on whether someone chooses you because you have already chosen yourself. And this is what changes everything. When a woman sees that you are genuinely happy, stable, and emotionally grounded without her, it challenges every assumption she once had about your dependence. Suddenly, you are no longer the man trying to hold things together. You are the man who learned how to stand strong alone. And independence is deeply attractive because it signals strength, emotional maturity, and self-awareness. Sometimes she may come back with curiosity. Sometimes she may try reconnecting out of nostalgia. And sometimes she will simply watch from a distance, wondering how the man she once knew became someone stronger after the separation. But your responsibility is no longer to respond from loneliness or ego. Your responsibility is to ask yourself whether reconnecting aligns with the future you are building. Because here is the final psychological truth. People often recognize value after they experience absence. But not everyone deserves access to the person you become after growth. The man who learns discipline, emotional control, and self-respect cannot return to situations that once drained his confidence and peace. When you move forward without bitterness, you win regardless of what she feels. If she regrets losing you, you win. If she moves on and you still build a stronger life, you win. Because your success is no longer tied to someone else's decision to stay or leave. And this is why women sometimes react strongly when you move on, because confidence without resentment is powerful. It shows maturity, it shows emotional evolution, and it proves you learned the lesson instead of repeating the pain. So let me leave you with something personal to think about tonight. Ask yourself honestly, if the woman from your past suddenly wanted to come back into your life, would she fit into the future you are building now, or would accepting her mean shrinking back into the man you worked so hard to outgrow? I want you to answer this in the comments because your answer might help another man realize what he truly deserves. And if this message spoke to you, like this video, subscribe for more real conversations, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it before he loses himself trying to hold on to someone who is not meant to stay.